Welcome back to Advice from the Ice.
Hey, everybody.
So today we want to talk about something that we are very passionate about. It's kind of what spurred the journal in the first place, and that is just mental and emotional growth with cold therapy. So a lot of times the mental and emotional aspect is really overlooked. Again, there's kind of a one-dimensional approach to cold therapy in general. And a lot of people focus on the physical, and there's still a lot of people who think that cold therapy is just for high performing athletes, and that's just not true.
Yeah, exactly. 𝐼𝐈𝐓𝐇 had a major impact on enhancing our emotional awareness and mental resilience. Us and many people, there's lots of articles out there you can read. And it's really important for our personal well-being and navigating our life's challenges. We're challenged day to day and just being able to really stay calm and more level-headed through these situations can make all the difference in our quality of life.
For sure, yeah. We're not going to go too far into the science of things. We have done a few videos on the Wellness Wednesday playlist about what chemical processes happen when you do a cold bath and whatnot. But essentially, when you do the cold plunge, you're getting that rush of norepinephrine, you're getting a rush of dopamine, a rush of serotonin, and that, of course, makes you feel good. That's one of the reasons that your mental and emotional health can be improved with cold therapy. But we're going to look at it today in more of a allegorical context to just talk about how it's helped us and others that we know.
Yeah. So for me personally, since I've been journaling about it in my 𝐼𝐈𝐓𝐇 Wellness Journal, it's amazing to see if I'm already off to a crappy day, you ever wake up one day and you're just nothing's going right and then your day gets progressively worse
Yes.
as it's not going right. So I've noticed for me personally, when I have those days, if I'm already not feeling great and I'm already flustered or upset in my morning and I get into the cold, I immediately feel at least happier, which in turn, I have better choices throughout the rest of my day to stay on a better, happier plane, you know?
Yeah, it's kind of like hitting the reset button, right? Where it's like your brain's like, oh, okay, like we're doing this. We're starting over.
It's amazing. So yeah, just turning that sadness or anger into a more calm state, because again, we're doing deep belly breaths, which regulates our nervous system. And then just that cold shock, getting that nape of the neck for that dopamine.
Yeah. And if you don't have a tub or you don't have, the time in the morning, I guess the cold water on your face can have the same effect at a smaller level, or even a bowl of ice water to stick your head in it can help. So the reason they found that people, we used to think that it was the cold shock waking us up, and it's really not. It's what's happening internally that's waking you up. It's the rush of chemicals. It's the nervous system reacting like that's actually what's waking you up. And I am not an advocate of plunging first thing in the morning, as you guys know, because I've done it straight out of bed and it's terrible. I have found that if I've been awake and I've done a cardio workout and then I do my plunge and then I do my normal workout, it's 1,000 times better. But it's been proven in a number of studies that if you have a really, really stressful day coming up, doing your plunge early in the morning before you start your day can really help you stay regulated and manage that stress throughout the day. So lawyers, doctors, nurses, trying to think of some other crazy high police officers, fire departments, all of these high stress jobs can be benefited by doing a plunge in the morning and then even doing a secondary plunge at night.
Yeah, definitely. And it gives you a chance for self-reflection when you're in that cold, just to really look inside yourself. And mindfulness practices, you start to recognize any negative self-talk that might be going on in your brain, and you can swap that to a more positive. Again, 𝐼𝐈𝐓𝐇 Wellness Journal, I love the mantras because that is a way to reset your brain as well, is changing our internal dialogue. Sometimes we don't even recognize it, and since I've been doing my cold therapy practice, I catch that negative self-talk a lot quicker now. And once it starts, I'm like, oh, whoa, ugh, why am I why am I having that thought? Like
That's awesome.
let's change that, like
Yeah.
it's amazing. You really discover yourself and feel into your body. And that's what we need to do to regulate, is to feel into our bodies.
Yeah, it's funny when we first started out because, like, we obviously weren't sure how people were going to react to the mantras, if they were going to like them, if they were going to hate them. But every time I've done a live walkthrough, I am kind of validated in that every single one, no matter what mantra I've chosen, has like somehow spoken to that person with what they're going through at that time. And so I've literally had people like, yep, that's me. Oh, yeah, that's me. Oh, that's definitely me. Oh, that's how I reset. Okay, cool. Or I can just see them like nodding or just kind of like smirking, like, oh yeah, I definitely do that. Because we ask a lot of questions in the mantras too, right? It's not just like, you're going to repeat this for the next 5 minutes. You're going to repeat this for the next 5 minutes. We make sure that you're actually processing what the point of the mantra is. And so it's just really cool to see people connect with that. And then the emotional response, right? Like I've never had an emotional response like the ones I've seen, but I was not prepared for the first time like someone started crying in the ice bath. And like I'd heard about it before, so I knew it was natural and I was able to talk them through it. But you kind of like the first time it happens, there's this like, what is happening? Why am I crying? Like, what is going on? Reaction from whoever it is, right? And it's important that you understand that it's normal, it's natural, sit with it, work through it. That is literally the pain, the mental and emotional pain that we hold on to in our body. That is literally that manifesting and leaving. So it's a good thing for healing, but it can be scary.
Yeah, totally. It can. And then just being present in the moment without judgment from yourself or from Rose. Like you said, the crying, or some people laugh hysterically, like it's whatever their body needs to
Or
let
scream.
go. Or scream. I love screaming. Like we hold on to so much in our bodies and we don't realize it until we actually start doing the work and doing the practice to let go. And then once you let go, you're making space for all the good things, the good ideas. And I've noticed that when my brain is less anxious and worried about others and things, like new ideas start flowing to me more easily, and I can move forward in my business and in my life and not just be held back by stuff that happened. And I mean, I still get emotional. We talked about it this morning. Like, we're still going to get emotional, but it's handled a lot better um, than it previously once have, since I've kept up on my cold exposure practice.
Yeah. Well, and it's different from being emotionally reactive and emotionally intelligent, right? Because like a lot of people just react off their emotion and they're like, well, you can't control your emotion. It's like, okay, cool, but you can control your response to it. But I think a lot of people nowadays really aren't taught how to regulate their emotion. They're really not taught how to sit with it, process it, because we're in such a society of, give the kid whatever to keep him quiet, medicate the crap out of him because everybody's got some diagnosable, theme now with their personality. And then also, oh, well, if someone's not speaking to your inner light, like just, kick them to the curb, which there's a spot for that, but it's still teaching conflict avoidance unknowingly. And when you're teaching conflict avoidance, you're not teaching how to process emotion. And so I think it's important that people learn how to process and regulate emotion versus not necessarily suppressing the emotion. Like I'm very good at suppressing emotion. Obviously, like that was just my trauma response from when I was a kid, right? And I've learned this now and I've gotten a little bit better about allowing emotion to come out as I process through that. But I tell people all the time, I'm like, you're not gonna be me. Like you're not gonna, be able just to squash it and go logical because like that's literally my coping mechanism is to shut off emotion and go straight to logic. And I'm not saying that's the best way to do things. But when you start to process your emotion, you start to realize quicker the triggers, you start to realize what's happening in your brain. So before you're actually reacting, you're already recognizing that is what's happening. and then you're able to regulate, you're able to not react as much, and then you keep more control.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like how you brought up the reaction. That was a big one for me. I I was one of those kids that didn't know how to regulate their emotions growing up. Like no one showed me, taught me, whatever. So I was just 20 in my 20s as a grown 5-year-old, like when bad things happen, just scream and just be angry, want to punch things, just really angry and not not knowing what to do about it. And that's how a lot of people live because again, we don't know how to stay calm and in really stressful situations. So being able to get into the cold shower or cold tub and to just breathe through it, that's so powerful. Like, and to do that regularly on like a regular basis, then it comes out into the world with you. That same stressful situation that you would have been kicking, throwing things, punching, whatever, they happen, and you're able to just breathe and bring in some more logic into the situation instead of just all that emotion. And yeah, it's amazing what cold therapy can do, and more people need to do it.
Yeah. Well, and especially as like it's getting better, obviously, but society as a whole still kind of stigmatizes mental health, especially for men or BIPOC. Like it's just not talked about. And that's where ice therapy can come in handy because it's self-care that's also mental health related, right? So like a lot of times we think of self-care, we think like, oh, mani pedi or like whatever. But ice baths are self-care because you are taking care of your body, you're taking care of your brain, and you're taking care of your nervous system and your emotions all in one go.
Yeah, my self-care is heading in that ice bath without cameras recording me, Like I love those moments for myself, just me and the cold.
Yeah, it does change it when you're doing a live or you're doing like a video or something like that. It's a different dynamic, obviously. And one of the things that happens too when you're filming is like you're looking down a lot. And we see this all the time with people who are new too, like they're looking in the water or they're closing their eyes, which is fine, but those are all aversion tactics as well. So super, super important if you are like really, really worried about or focused on emotional and mental health. One of the best ways to do it is to notice and stop the aversion tactics. So if you have a tub that has a bunch of ice on the bottom, it's understandable that you're going to be a little nervous about stepping in because you don't want to slip and fall. But try really hard. And if your ice is broken up and you know there's no ice on the bottom, then it's a lot easier. As you get in, just keep looking forward. And then as you settle in, also look forward or up. And then don't close your eyes. Like a lot of times we close our eyes because we're like, oh, okay, like we're good, we're settled. And it's actually a subconscious aversion tactic.
Oh, that's good to know. I think I looked
Yeah, I
at
didn't know that until recently either.
it. See, you learn stuff every day. Been doing this how long, and we still learning, still growing. Like you think it's just cold water, but it's more than that, guys.
Yeah, it's so much more.
Another great thing for me, like with the ice baths, is I'm now not afraid to seek help from others, like from my colleagues or my friends. Like I used to be so anxious to the point that like, no, I need to figure this out on my own, and I got this, all that masculine energy. but
Hmm.
but now like it's really softened me, softened my heart that it's okay to seek some help, and that just moves you along in your life and careers quicker and easier. We don't need to be macho trying to figure out everything on our own. Like there's communities and we're all in our own little worlds. So let's collaborate, let's connect more and support each other. Like it just opens up your mind to the possibilities that can come from collaboration.
Oh, for sure. it can also help you become a better communicator, right? Because like maybe you have a hard conversation you have to have, and maybe you weren't taught conflict resolution, and so like you're really, really nervous about it. Being in the ice can not only calm you down, but it gives you a chance to process what you really want to say and how you want it to go, right? We all have conversations with people before we have conversations with people, which is one of the reasons that there's so much miscommunication in the world, because we've already had this conversation, but when we have it with the actual person, maybe they don't say what our brain said they were going to say, and now we're really confused, but we're still mad about the conversation that we had with them in our head. Being in the ice gives you a chance to really focus on, again, you and what you need to say. And then you can kind of stop predictive texting, essentially, what the other person is going to say, and just focus on the point that you need to make, which helps you be more clear when you communicate with somebody, which can help bring down the conflict, because now maybe you're not being perceived as aggressive toward them. Maybe you're figuring out better ways to word things, and like you're more focused on the you aspect of the problem versus the other person aspect of the problem. And it just makes it a lot easier to talk about things once you have that clarity.
Yeah, it goes the other way too. Like victimization of yourself is a big one. Can't say like, I mean, I guess I'd play the victim sometimes, but I know a lot of people out there. I actually know somebody personally. He was telling me since his practice with cold therapy, he's opened back up to his family. Like it's incredible. Like, and he realized that he was making himself the victim, and then turned out like it wasn't the case at all. He just needed to have that open conversation with his family. And shockingly, they had no idea he was like feeling the way he was feeling. So just like having those hard conversations with yourself and with the person that you're trying to be better with, it's just incredible that he's now from not talking to family members to actually participating and being in his family's life again. Like we stop ourselves from so much in life, like so much different relationships and opportunities because of these crazy meaning making machines.
Yep. Yeah, so often it's said, like the people who succeed in business aren't the ones who are smart, it's the ones who are willing to take risks. And it's so true. Because a lot of people are just scared. They're scared to take risks. They're scared to, quit their job. They're scared to get out of the 9 to 5 scam. They're scared to do anything other than what has been conventionally taught. And once you realize that, like, no, there's a better life. Like there is more to life than working in a cubicle for somebody, or there is more to life than building somebody else's dream. Like once you realize that and you start taking the steps to make it better or better yourself, it's unbelievable. And I'm not saying that everyone who does an ice bath is going to become a CEO of a major corporation. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is it opens up your brain and your mind to, possibilities that maybe you didn't know existed before. Because the one thing we hear all the time, right, is I hate the cold. I'm like, I get it. So do I. I lived in Wyoming for 20 years. I don't like the cold either. I hate snow. I hate being cold. But you know what? I like knowing that I can handle anything that's thrown at me because I can sit in a tub of ice water for 5 minutes.
Exactly. And it's not just the cold, it's adding on other things like the meditation, the journaling, and the workouts, like working out. You start working out more, that builds confidence, and like just adding all those off of the cold can elevate you to do amazing things that you didn't think possible before. Even and back to the entrepreneurs, like being able to handle that hate comments or like negativity because you're so in tune with yourself and know yourself and what your what your goals are, and you just focus on that instead of letting your brain switch and be like, yeah, they're right, or they're you start thinking those negative thoughts about yourself because of somebody else. And that's the most powerful thing, in my opinion, is not letting our outside environment and people affect our insides.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not doing ice therapy because we hate our bodies. We're doing ice therapy because we love our bodies. We really love ourselves and like we want to do what is best for us. It's kind of the same thing as like you can't escape a body you hate. Like you can't work out into a body you love. Like you need to work out because you love your body, not because you hate it. It's kind of the same with ice baths, right? Like we're not doing it because we're like, I hate myself, but I need to do this because this is gonna be freaking terrible. It's like, no, I love myself. I'm awesome, and this helps me regulate.
Yep, and it's ongoing. Personal growth never ends. Like we'll be growing until we're in the ground. So
Yep.
so
And that's where the tracking is important because as you get older or as you get into the practice or as things change, you're gonna like see it if you're tracking it, right? Like life changes are no joke and they can dysregulate people so easily. And being able to look back and be like, oh, you know what? Before I got that puppy, this is how this was going. And then after I got the puppy, this is how this went. But now the puppy's, a year old and trained. Now this is going better. And like there's so many aspects we just don't think about affecting it that really do.
yeah, dude. When I look at my journal from like a year ago or 2 years ago, I'm like, oh gosh, this sad,
Who is this
angry,
person?
yeah, sad, angry little girl right now. And now like my journal's all like not all sunshine and rainbows, but like it's way more mature, way more like business oriented. Like it's just way more thriving than than in the past, and it's like really exciting to see, because like you think you're people think they're stuck, or they are their anxiety, their depression, or whatever it is they're going through. They they identify, like you've mentioned before, as that, but it's not the case. We can identify as amazing, successful, present. Like we don't have to identify as the icky stuff. Like let's trigger our minds, change our minds to think in the better light. And it's possible for everybody. Like I didn't think I'd be as happy as I am today. Like it's crazy. If like you asked me from a year or 2 years ago, I just think you're crazy that I'd be where I'm at now, like. and
Yeah.
and I just love listening to other people that have similar experiences, that are off the medications and going to therapy less, or like, the treatments, whatever, just because they got into cold and they're working out, and just all these natural ways that we can do to be better.
Yeah. Of course, we do have to put a disclaimer on that if you are working with a therapist or anything, absolutely double check with them before you do an ice bath for the first time. And do not do it alone. Preferably do it with somebody who understands the reaction that can happen. But worst case, do it with a friend and just tell them like, hey, I don't know how I'm going to react. I might start screaming. I might start crying. I don't know. And just be prepared for it. Because if you're not prepared for the reaction and then you get in and like, we've seen it with PTSD a lot, right? They get in the ice bath and like, they're just screaming. And it's like, I don't know what to do. Is this normal? Like for me, not being a reactive person, like it's kind of hard because I'm like, okay, like this is loud, this is intense. What is this? This is a lot of emotion at once. But it's super, super important just to have someone there to like sit with you, even record it, maybe either write down what's going on or video it even, because then again you'll start to see the progress. But you'll know that screaming is not the end of the world and it doesn't mean you need to get out. I think a lot of people who don't believe in cold therapy for mental health just don't understand the reactions that are happening.
Yeah, and again, there's no judgment, never any judgment in this space. Like ice baths, wellness, like it's the same in yoga. People cry doing yoga, like it's releasing that crap from our bodies. We hold on to so much through our life. And once you're free of that, you're free of that. And I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're right. And like, this is purely opinion, what I'm about to say. So don't take this as any kind of medical advice or anything. But we've seen in the last 50 years a huge rise in people having chronic pain, right? Like fibromyalgia is literally a diagnosing of, yeah, you're in pain, but we don't know why. Right. And that's one of the reasons when people say they have fibromyalgia, people are like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm sure you do. Because nobody knows what it is or, anything like that. But all this chronic pain, in my opinion, again, is stemming from two areas: our crappy food supply and the fact that we are holding on to so much that we don't realize, right? If you're holding on to trauma from when you were 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, you've got, 10 years of childhood trauma just housed in different parts of your body that you're not even realizing, because our bodies are really good at just not really communicating with us if we're not listening.
Yeah.
And that's where all this chronic pain is coming from, is all these areas where it's like, oh, you've always got pain in your lower back. Yeah, it's probably because of what happened when you were 5, right? And it sounds kind of like mystical. It sounds kind of like, I don't know, to a lot of people. But it is just so true that our bodies just hold it, especially if our brains get really good at suppressing. And so I suspect that's where a lot of the chronic pain uptick is coming from. And of course, what do doctors do when you're on chronic pain? Oh, well, here's some oxy. Here's some, hydro, whatever it is. I don't even know. This is how bad I don't do painkillers. So, but they're throwing opioids at it. They're throwing just painkillers and stuff at it. Like, get off the stupid painkillers. Like, do natural stuff to release it, and then you won't need the painkillers. And it's not talked about enough. Obviously, I'm a little bit passionate about it.
No, the modern medicine just covers it up even further, and that's not healing. We need to face it, and it's hard to face it. Like, I've like, again, me just coming to the realization of that 5-year-old tantrums every time some little inconvenience happened. Like, I'm laughing about it now, but when I actually like discovered it, I was just like, oh, that's not cool. Like, that is really not cool. And it felt icky and whatever, but at least now I've come to terms with it, and I've noticed it, and moving forward, I'm not that little 5-year-old having a tantrum when something doesn't go my way, like,
Yeah.
and instead I'm mature and taking care of it like I should, or what's the word now? It's demure.
Yeah. I had to Google that. I was like, what the hell is this? I'm not up on the hip stuff, obviously.
I thought I was, but now I guess I'm getting too old. No, but for real, like, it's not going to be pretty. It's going to, and that's why a lot of people don't do it, is because they don't want to face what it is that they're dealing with. And it's totally right, to not want to do that, but masking it and pushing it down deeper, it'll do more harm than just handling it and getting through it, in my opinion, because, like, your body gets worse, you start getting sicker, or like Rose said, it's not scientifically proven, but it's pretty, like, I could also see it as people's illnesses are because of that pent up emotion, not they, and our foods and products, whatever. But, like, for the most part, if you're chronically depressed, some people start gaining a lot of weight, or they lose a lot of weight. And then that in turn comes with some more health complications. So if we can start within and in here, it just goes up from there. We start getting healthier, we're eating better, we're working out more, like, but it does start here and here.
Yeah, 100%. It's gonna suck at first. I mean, it's an ice bath, right? Ice baths should suck, as Dr. Seeger would say. But it doesn't have to suck as much if you know what's happening, right? And, like, I've seen it a lot of times where, like, someone's crying and I'm like, why are you crying? They're like, I don't know. I'm like, okay. I don't know what to do with that because like I get uncomfortable around people crying. So that's a me problem, not a them problem. But when you have the ability to be like, okay, I'm crying because I'm responding to this in this way. Is this worth crying over? Probably not, but I'm going to anyway because that's been my body's natural response. Okay, that's fine. Like being able to process that, know why you're feeling these things, know that you can work through it, and just like having the clarity of, okay, I'm not just reacting to react. This is what I'm reacting to, and maybe it's not worth reacting to, is extremely empowering.
Yeah.
Again, guys, we have done some Wellness Wednesday videos on this as well. We did one on cold plunging and anxiety. We did one on cold plunging and ADHD. And then I think there's a couple others that we did specifically looking at mental health. So if you are interested in more of this kind of topic, absolutely look into those. I'll try to link to that playlist at the end of this. And then again, that will link, all of our Wellness Wednesday videos do link to the studies that we got them from. So it will link to some journals and whatnot and some actual real research that's been done on it. So definitely check those out. The ADHD one actually didn't really have a lot of science behind it because no one's really looking into specifically ADHD and cold therapy. I would love to see that study because I think it would be incredibly eye-opening. But that might also just be my personal problem with everybody identifying as ADHD these days.
Yeah, and just start engaging with us. We want to hear
Yes,
your
please.
journey. We want to hear your journey, how things are going, how we can support you. You know, we're not doctors or professionals by any means. We're just two people that got into ice baths and they've worked for us. We love it. And we just want transformation for so many other people. Please engage with us. You can message us, and we'd love feedback on the product and suggestions for future topics to talk about. You know, like we want to make this all about you and how we can help you grow. Because again, personal growth doesn't stop. So let's do it at least together.
Yes. If you're not currently taking part in any of our challenges or anything like that, we will link to our products and everything so you can look into the journal, look into the monthly challenges. And then please, if you do like this, give us a thumbs up, help us with the YouTube algorithm, or share this with somebody who might find it beneficial.